All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into something I think is really fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's how video games are made.
Cool.
Yeah, you know, from like that very first idea to like actually getting to play it.
Okay.
Yeah, you actually shared some really interesting material on this whole process. And I gotta say, it's way more involved than I ever imagined.
Oh, for sure. It's a massive undertaking, you know.
Right.
It really struck me just how much goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and like how many different people and skills are needed.
Exactly. And I think what really jumps out is the blend of like crazy creativity, but also that super detailed technical side.
Yeah.
It's not just artists, you know, or just programmers.
Right.
It's this constant back and forth between the two throughout the entire process.
Okay, so that's kind of what we want to unpack in this deep dive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
To like break down all the key stages of game development and get a better sense of what actually goes into making the games we love.
Absolutely. So should we start at the very beginning?
Yeah, let's do it with that initial idea, you know?
Okay, so the spark.
Yeah, the spark the concept and planning phase.
So, I mean, it all starts with someone having a cool idea, right?
Right. I feel like everyone's had a game idea at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the material emphasizes that's just the very first step.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the first things you have to do is figure out like who you're making this game for.
Okay, so your target audience.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are there enough people out there who would actually want to play this game?
So it's about validating that idea early on.
Exactly. You don't want to pour all this time and money into something that no one's going to be interested in.
Makes sense. So once you have a somewhat validated idea, what happens next?
Well, then comes the game design document.
Oh yeah, the GDD. I've heard of that.
It's basically the blueprint for the entire game.
So what kind of stuff is in it at this stage?
Well, at this point, it's mostly a high-level overview.
Okay.
So you outline like the core mechanics, you know, how the game is played,
Okay.
the basic story, the main characters, the essential features.
Gotcha. So it's like setting the scope.
Exactly. And this is also where those initial discussions about budget and resources come into play.
Right. You need to be realistic about what you can actually achieve.
Exactly.
So you have your idea, you have your basic plan outlined.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then it's on to pre-production.
Okay, so this is where things start to get more concrete, I'm guessing.
You got it.
Okay.
So that initial GDD we talked about gets fleshed out in way more detail.
Yeah.
So you go from like these general concepts to like really specific stuff.
Okay.
And this is also when you start to create concept art.
Oh, cool. So those first visuals of what the game world and characters will actually look like.
Exactly. And another key part of pre-production is building prototypes.
Oh, right. So you can actually start to get a feel for how the game plays.
Yeah, these are like early playable versions just to test out if the core mechanics are fun and engaging.
That makes sense. I know the material mentions picking game engines here too.
Oh yeah, like Unity or Unreal Engine.
So why is that such a crucial decision early on?
Well, the game engine is like the foundation you build the whole game on.
Yeah.
It provides all the tools and tech you need.
Right.
So it can really impact, you know, the visuals, the performance, how easy it is to implement certain features.
Okay, so like picking the right engine can make the whole development process way smoother.
Exactly. You're also figuring out like the technical requirements of the game during this phase and starting to work on storyboards and the basic layout of the levels.
Wow, so a lot happens in pre-production.
Yeah, it's all about laying the groundwork before you jump into the actual building of the game,
Which brings us to production.
the main event.
The material calls it the longest and most intensive phase. So I'm guessing this is where the real magic happens.
For sure. This is where it all comes together.
So what exactly does production involve?
Well, this is where programmers, you know, write all the code for the game mechanics.
Okay.
And then 3D modelers create the characters and environments. And animators bring those models to life. And you have texture artists creating like the look and feel of everything, and audio folks creating the music, sound effects, and voice acting.
Right. And all of this is happening while level designers are actually building the worlds that you'll explore in the game.
Exactly. It's like this massive collaborative effort.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me in the material was the emphasis on testing and iteration throughout production.
Yeah. Super important.
So can you explain like why that constant feedback is so crucial?
Well, you know, when you're building something this complex, things are bound to go wrong.
Right.
Or like maybe a certain mechanic isn't as fun as you thought it would be.
Okay.
So regular testing helps you catch those issues early and fix them before they become like major problems.
So it's all about refining and improving the game as you go.
Exactly. You want to make sure it's as polished and enjoyable as possible.
Makes sense. So once the core game is built, then it's on to testing and quality assurance, right?
Yes, sir. This phase is all about making sure the game is ready for prime time.
And I imagine this is crucial to avoid like bugs and glitches ruining the player experience.
Oh, absolutely. You want to catch as many of those as possible before the game gets into the hands of players.
So what exactly happens during this phase?
Well, you have alpha testing, which is basically testing within the development team.
Okay.
Then beta testing, which involves getting feedback from external players.
Oh, cool. So you get fresh eyes on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And during this whole process, there's a lot of debugging, fixing errors, optimizing performance so the game runs smoothly on different devices.
Okay, so like trying to break the game before the players do.
Exactly.
All right, so the game is built, it's tested, it's polished. What's next?
Time to get the word out.
Marketing and pre-launch preparation.
Yep, this stage is all about building hype and getting ready for release.
So what kind of things are involved here?
Well, creating trailers and screenshots for the game, putting together a website, engaging with potential players on social media,
Okay.
maybe reaching out to influencers, getting them to try the game. Yeah, getting that word of mouth going.
Exactly. And this is also when you set up things like pre-orders
Okay,
and maybe even release a demo to give players a taste of what's to come.
cool. And you have to submit the game to all those digital storefronts too, right?
Yeah, like Steam, the PlayStation Store, all those places.
Okay, so getting it ready for those virtual shelves.
Yeah.
All right, so launch day arrives.
It's a big day.
I imagine there's a lot of excitement, but also some nerves.
Oh, definitely. You're finally putting your creation out there for the world to see.
So what happens once the game is actually launched?
Well, it's not just like you kick back and relax.
Really?
No, you have to monitor how the game is performing,
Okay.
address any immediate issues that might pop up.
Right, like bugs or server problems.
Exactly. And it's super important to stay engaged with the player community.
Okay, so listen to feedback, see what people are saying.
Exactly. You want to show that you care about your players and that you're listening to them.
Makes sense. And the material also mentions that the journey doesn't necessarily end at launch. Right.
There's often post-launch support and updates.
Oh, for sure. Many games these days.
Yeah.
They continue to evolve after release.
So what does that look like?
Well, and regular updates and patches to fix bugs, improve stability.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see downloadable content or DLC.
Oh, yeah. So like adding new levels or characters or storylines.
Exactly. And sometimes even full expansions that add like significant new content to the game.
Wow. So it's really a living thing.
Yeah. And all of this is informed by community feedback.
Yeah.
What are people enjoying? What do they want to see more of?
Right. So that engagement with the community can really shape the future of the game.
Absolutely. And sometimes it can even lead to sequels or spin-offs.
So it's really just the beginning.
Exactly.
So as our source material made clear, making a video game, it's this huge, multifaceted journey,
Totally.
It takes so much creativity, technical skill, collaboration, dedication.
For sure. It's really inspiring to see all the pieces that come together.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate those games we love even more.
I agree. The next time you boot up one of your favorites, just take a moment to think about all those steps, all those people that brought that world to life.
Yeah, and maybe think about what part of this whole process, from that initial spark of an idea to that final release, what part of it do you find the most interesting?
Yeah, it's a fascinating journey for sure.
All right, well, that's our deep dive into the world of video game development.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for listening.